Hello followers and welcome back to MrMFretwell Plays Minecraft. And it's been a while. It's been almost a week since my last episode, so it's been quite a bit of time here since I've been playing on this world and recording on it. And there's no particular reason for the break. I've just been very busy with other series and kind of getting things wrapped up for various different projects. So I'm looking forward to getting back into the swing of things here and actually finishing up some projects that I have on this world. So there's a bunch of things to talk about today. We're going to be working on the farm stack thing we were working on the other week, and hopefully wrapping that up. Just going to wait for night to fall here, and then we'll probably be able to properly get started. This right here, I've just started to get some animals penned up to start and get some supplies together for that. Nothing too significant going on there. Alright. This should be not quite, apparently. There we go. So, the first thing that I need to show you is I have been working very hard on the lab. So let's go take a look at that before we do anything else today. So up we go. Here we are. And as you can see, from the outside it looks as if a lot has changed, but we will take a proper look. So I haven't done anything really with the downstairs area, but here we are in the upstairs area. This is the lab. I've got rid of all the torches in this upper area here. I got these sort of light lamp posts, whatever you want to call them, in place here to kind of get rid of some of the torches, but also look good at the same time. We have our benches over here. We've got some tables that are missing some chairs. It's not quite finished in here yet, but it's getting pretty close. Getting rid of all the torches was my target, and we've done that. So this is obviously the upstairs of the lab. The downstairs does need a bunch of work doing, but we will work on that another day, because we've worked on the lab a lot lately, and I want to kind of do something else here. So the second thing you'll see is that looks finished. I tried just designing some stuff off camera with it to see how I would like it, and this top section looks a little weird, especially considering what the bottom section looks like. So what I think I would like to do is kind of alter the roof a little bit, and that's one of the things we're going to be working on today. And we're also going to hook up the redstone today. I've started to carve out a little basic room under here, and we will lay out the redstone for that shortly. But first off, let's actually let's kind of alter the roof here. And while we do that, I have some things to talk about. And there's a bunch of stuff, to be honest with you, and not all of it is going to be probably mentioned in this video particularly. But the one thing I do need to mention is I have been working, obviously, over the past week or so on things for this world, and some news came out last week regarding the snapshot that the zombie pigmen don't drop gold anymore unless you kill them. Now, since then, there's been tweets from members of Mojang who say that this is going to be changed because people are unhappy about it, but we can't verify what exactly is going to get changed until we receive the snapshot, which should come out tomorrow as of the time I'm recording this, and then we'll know more. However, if things aren't changed, then we've got a bit of a problem on our hands, and the problem is that my gold farm relies very heavily on basically the pigmen almost killing themselves via fall damage. There is no way of modifying it easily without redesigning extensive parts of the trap in order to make it usable, to the point where you might as well just redesign your entire gold farm. So we're just going to be waiting on that. It's kind of threw a couple of plans out, because the gold farm at this base determines a lot of what else I can do that I need gold for. For example, the dark room, because I need gold for power tracks for that. So that's why we might be taking a slight change of direction just for a couple of episodes. I mean, there is not going to be anything dramatic happening until after episode 100 or so now, and the reason for that is something else we'll talk about in a minute here. But that's just one thing that we're going to have to kind of be aware of, is that there could potentially be issues with the gold farm, which is going to have to make me redesign a bunch of things, because I do want it to be useful after I have left this base. In the next update, I would like to be able to come back here and actually be able to make use of what I've built, similar to how I could make use of stuff that's at the fort, for example. So that's something we're going to have to kind of sit down and think about and plan a little bit before moving forward here. And I mean, my honest opinion with the whole mob grinding, you know, thing that's going on, there's a huge debate about it on Reddit as to what's acceptable and what isn't, and all of this sort of stuff. I'm not going to really discuss that too much in a video, because I could talk about it for a long time. But I think that it should realistically be up to the individual person as to what they want to do. I've seen a lot of good arguments about different things that could be changed or could be made better in order to lessen the need for farming iron and gold, which would work in my opinion. But I think that I'm kind of with the people who say it's a sandbox game, and you should be able to play it in the way that you want. If you're not aware, by the way, also Iron Golem farms got basically nerfed. And now Iron Golem farms, though, unless you're going with a design like the Iron Foundry by Tango Tech, or I think he did another one as well, then you're going to have issues. But if you're using Doc M's design, which is probably one of the most common designs, you're not going to be in too bad a shape, because it's easily modifiable in order to still be useful. So I don't really have too much of a complaint about the Iron Golem farms. It's the gold farms that were a big problem for me. Let's see what this looks like here. So I'm kind of, it's a bit odd really in a sense, because it's been like that for such a long period of time. Yeah, I don't like that at all. That looks, if anything, it looks worse. Oh, how would I change that though? That's really tricky to try and do anything with. I really think it would just look better if I flattened it, to be honest, and put quartz inside. But then it's going to look really weird above the glass, so we'll have to see how that looks while I'm inside the turret, of course. So, I mean, kind of back on the subject of, you know, the Iron Golem farms and the gold farms. I mean, what's been done has been done. If they don't change it, we'll have to live with it. It's not great. It does mean that I will have to extensively redesign my gold farm. I don't really want to talk too much about it in a video, because it could get pretty controversial, and as you guys know, I don't really like to do that in videos. I like to keep the videos, you know, kind of away from that aspect of it. I may end up, I might write a Reddit post about it, or a blog post, if you guys are really interested in what I think. I have long considered doing like another YouTube channel where I discuss this kind of stuff, to keep it away from the main content, because I don't like to cause controversy on my YouTube channel, because it's just, it leads eventually to hate, essentially, and I don't want, for one, I don't want that, and for two, I don't want my viewers who have been so loyal and so kind to me on my channel to have to deal with and suffer from that. So that's why I don't really engage it too much. So I don't like to kind of, as I say, engage that. So I won't be talking about it too much more than that. I really am just trying to think about what to do here. I could try and do something a little bit like this and sort of see what this looks like. But aside from the obviously the farms there is also some other things to talk about, which are going to be coming down the line, maybe not spoken about too much in today's episode, but that's one thing that has kind of threw me out a little bit as to what my plans are going to be for this base and this series, and I've had to kind of think a little bit about that and what I want to do with that. So, yeah, I mean, there's that to mention. So let's see what this looks like here now with that alteration. It's a little weird without the roof. It's probably the best thing we've come up with though thus far, to be perfectly honest with you. But I still don't particularly like it. I'm gonna have to think about how I wanna really deal with the roof of this quite extensively, I think, before making my decision, because I am pretty limited as to what I can do. But that's probably not going to happen, so I'm going to take this up again. I could hypothetically use stairs or something like that, but I don't want to really overcomplicate this. How about we get some orange clay, put it on top of the glass like we have been doing here. Just one layer of orange clay, and then we put some slabs atop this. See how that looks. There we go. So as regards my LP, one thing to talk about is the next couple of episodes. Now, as you guys know, episode 100 is coming up. This is episode 98. And I am working on getting everything that I've started in this base kind of finished, ready for episode 100 to give you guys a complete world download. We've not had one of those for a while, so I would like to kind of give you guys like a full, complete, you know, this is everything we've done so far type download before getting into new projects. And that will work out fine because I can spend today working on this. The only thing that probably won't get done is the underside of the lab, and I can't really do too much about that, unfortunately. We'll just get up here, I think. But next episode, we will probably work on finishing up the other two farms. Possibly we may do that today, depending on how long things are going here. We also have the branch mines and the nether area to clean up as well. So we're going to have to think about that. But maybe next episode, the branch mines and the nether area aren't particularly big, so to speak. They're not a huge kind of project, I guess, to work on. They are more smaller type ones, so we may end up getting, either next episode or episode 100 itself, getting the bottom part of the lab done, getting the branch mines and the nether area done. I'm sensing I'm a bit slow today. I apologise for this. Why are we one quartz slab short? That's what I want to know. I guess I must have knocked one off the side somewhere. Yeah, there we go. There's one there. And that's exactly all the quartz slabs I had, so we'll jump in the bed real quick here and then we'll take a look. I don't think it'll matter too much about that one slab. And I'll go up there and put it in a minute. So let's take a look from our hill here and see what it looks like. Anything around that wants to hurt me? Doesn't look that way. To be honest with you, I think we're just going to end up back at square one. Because I don't really like that much either, but I think that, yeah, I mean, probably making it 2 rows of clay is probably the best option I've got with that, to be perfectly honest with you. That doesn't really strike me as something I like. I've not liked anything else particularly. So I guess it's going to be back to the original design here. And we will have to just use that, I guess. I feel like I'm saying a lot more than I usually would as well today. But I'm going to work on fixing up that roof back to how it was. And I'm also going to lay out the redstone here and then we'll talk about that. Okay guys, so after much tinkering and messing around for several hours, I finally gotten the collection system for our farm tower here finished. So as you can see, the first thing that you are going to immediately notice is what was here is no more. And that was because as I was building it, it seemed a little on the complicated side, and to cut a long story short, it didn't work. So I've drastically cut the resources down, and I built this. And we're going to take a look at how this works in a minute with some actual items, but it gets rid of all of that hopper, clock, timer stuff. I don't really know what I was doing, so I made it a lot smaller now. It still does the same thing, except there's one slight drawback with it, that every time I use this, I'm going to end up with 5 carrots spare, which is a bit of a pain, but it's not terrible. We can live with it, so I can just toss them into a cactus or something like that, I don't know, but I'll come up with a system, I'm sure. So this new system is going to be used in all 3 of these, and this is just kind of like a dummy that I set up over here so that I could clearly see it. I've got wide open room, got some area to work with, etc. I actually initially came up with this on a creative world though, just to keep things simple, and I think that I'm probably going to be doing redstone projects like this, at least just drafting them out on a creative world, because doing it in survival mode, whoops, takes a little bit too long, I feel. So it would be great to have kind of a reference that I could look around more easily. So you'll notice there is a ladder well down here. I also fixed up the roof. I don't know if I showed that off in the last clip or not, but I did finish that off. And I put it to 2 rows of orange stained clay and then some quartz. So here is the exact same thing we have outside, just down here. And what this does is exactly what it did before. This is going to have a dropper eventually, and it's going to go off into a dropper pipe and then put into a chest somewhere over in this general area. I just did that chest for right now to keep it simple, keep it basic. But what happens is items go in here, and we're going to toss some items in. We're going to put 3 stacks of dirt in, and you can pretend that they would be carrots. And what happens here is they first go into this hopper right here. It goes, this is where the water pushes them in, by the way. It goes into this hopper and then to this one. And they get stored in this one because it is locked, so it can't pass on any more items, and they build up in there. And that is until we get a stack and 5, which is equivalent to a power level of 4 on the comparator, like so. And then what happens is, at that point, it locks this hopper right here. Some redstone goes off and it locks this hopper, because we have this and it goes through up to here. It actually goes underneath this torch. I've just slabbed it off. It comes back out and it inverts this and it locks this hopper. That means that that can't pass any items through, but the one underneath can take them. So it can then put them in the chest. And when that is done, as you can see, it's building up in there now, this will be empty. This comparator will turn off, and then this will invert right here, and it will let these items flow into the chest. Pretty simple, just required some figuring out. You'll see this comparator, there it is, it goes off, and then it lets these items flow into here, and then eventually into the chest, or more hoppers, or the dropper pipe, or whatever it is that we want to distribute it to. Now this chest down here, it's not designed to be very accessible, because this chest eventually is going to get hooked up to a system of hoppers and minecarts that is going to distribute it into a big bulk storage system, which is going to be located probably under this lake. And there's going to be all the farms hooked up to it, the dark room, and everything like that. That will be where my central storage for this base will be. So at the moment it's just kind of down there as a storage thing. And this gives me enough carrots in here, the 64, to replant all of the slots up here. And that's how we're going to work. Obviously there's going to be a chest here which we'll put in 64 and 5, and of that 64 and 5 I will use 64, and the other 5 I'll probably toss out onto a cactus or something. I am going to do a bit of research into if there is like a division of 4 or a division of 16 that I could use, and I might make it a bit bigger, but I don't want to make it over big because then it would look rather silly. So It's kind of finding a balance, I feel. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get some dispensers and things together, and we're going to put in the water system so that when the crops are ready to harvest, then they will flow down here, and we will be ready to take them into the collection system and do all the sorting that we just looked at. So I'm going to get some equipment together for that, guys, and I will be back. Okay guys, so I've gathered up a bunch of supplies here, as you can see. So we have all the equipment we need in order to, I suppose, finish off this farm tower. Now there's a couple of things we need to do in addition to the water collection system, and that is also we need to actually have some water in a place where it can hydrate the soil, of course. I'm just going to get these down right here and get those buckets out of the way. We'll run that across the top there. Now then, how do I want to do this? I guess it's going to be like that, and then a redstone torch in there. Obviously we don't want to power it just yet. Oh wait, we've built it on the wrong side. Look at that. Let's see here. We want it to run this way. So we'll put the redstone dust back on top here. There we go. So we obviously want it to probably... Do I want it to go down there? I mean, it wouldn't be terrible. It would be closer to the entrance, so I guess we could try doing that. So there's one other thing we have to consider here. We have to consider how we're going to get these crops hydrated. Now, the obvious solution will be to do this, and hopefully this works. We fill that in. And then what we can do is we can kind of cover it up with orange stained clay here. And we're going to have to do the same thing on the other side, so that when we power this, let's just fill that in with some dirt for now. So when we power this here, it's obviously going to fill in and it flows correctly. That's really important. There we go. So we're going to use a button system for this, by the way. I have a wooden button here. So that's kind of the first bit out of the way. So we've got, you know, in one sense, the top layer done. We are going to hoe the soil while we're up here, because that makes sense. And obviously, water will hydrate soil 4 blocks away, so we have that sorted out. Let's knock this out for now. So now we need to go on to the next layer here. And the water is going to spill down onto this block right here. So we don't want it to go there, but we do want it to run along the front like this. Now we also need to find a spot to actually hydrate the soil. And I'm thinking, again, this side is probably best for that. And I'm going to need to go and fill up my buckets here real quick. Let's go up here. There we are. I've got some orange stained clay just to help speed up the process as well. So down here, we need to do our water bucket thing again. I'm going to remember to fill up my buckets this time. There we go. And let's put down some more clay. So all of those will now be hydrated. I'm going to use up my current hoe first. So all of this soil here will be hydrated. Now what I want to do is I want to see, is this going to function in the way that I want it to, essentially. So we'll put down this again. So water flows down, as we would expect. And it comes down, yeah, and it flows into the hole. So that's exactly what we want. And obviously it will just take a little bit of time to disperse, but nothing too major. I'm a bit worried that that untilled itself. Is that something that happens? Because I'm worried if it is. We'll have to see. I may have to make some modifications to this if we're not careful. Maybe I stood on it or something. So now then, we need to come down here and obviously clear that out. And we need to do the same sort of thing here, I guess. It's obviously working. Now here's a bit different though. Why is it different? Because this time it just goes straight onto the dirt. But up here it didn't. Very odd. I mean, it's not a big deal. It doesn't change anything, but it would be interesting to know just why that is, I guess. So we are going to have to put up with the annoying particle drips, but there's not too much I can do about that, I'm afraid. We do need to get, obviously, the soil hydrated. Do I want to square it off? I don't think I did on the layer above. No. So we'll leave it without corners. I'll fill this in. It's the end of that hoe. I'm surprised that the hoe doesn't have a break-in animation like the other tools do. But I guess it's just never materialized. Oh, I can fill in water from there, look at that. So we obviously want to make sure as we go down that the water is doing the right thing. So we're going to go all the way up to the top again. Let's kind of figure this out here. So it's flowing down, it's flowing down, it's flowing down. It's going to flow all the way down. Oh no, we filled it up. Okay. So thus far it's working. Everything I wanted to see working is, so that's good. I guess they're just going to take a little bit of time to hydrate. So now we come to the bottom layer. And you know what? Something's going to sneak in that I don't want. I don't think the water's dispersed just yet from up there. So let's continue on with our hardened clay. There we go. And we've got my filled up water buckets again. And we'll fill them up. Just like that. Knock that out. And we'll hoe the soil. Now we want to put some water in here, and that will flow onto the hopper. Now what I want to know is, we could have a problem here. The water is going to merge together and they're not going to flow. It's going to create like a little dead zone. So what I think we're going to need to do is actually put some signs basically across here, and that will fix that issue. So now let's look at how we want to hook up the button here, because we know that we want the system to be this right here. Oh, is that gonna get affected by that? I don't think it is, though there definitely will. We might get away with it though, because I want my button to be right there. So if we put a torch there, we want a block there, and then in that hole we want a torch, then a block, then a torch, and so on. It's going to be difficult to tell whether this is going to work out in our favor or not here. There we go. I'm just gonna have to see now if it washes anything. Oop. Obviously it's still filled in up there. Let's knock that out. I'm just curious if it's knocked any redstone out. Because if it hasn't, then it's fine. You don't have to make any alterations. And it doesn't look like it has. Now, what I want to know, though, of course, is when I push this button, is it actually going to activate? Doesn't sound like it is. No, because that's permanently activated. That's not really what we want, so we're going to have to come up with a system to prevent that. Now then, the easy way would be to do this. Oh good, sun's coming up. And to do something a little bit like this. That's still going to get powered though, isn't it? When I put a block on here. Yeah, I'm still going to get permanently powered. Why are they not retracting? This is where I think it's going to get a little weird. Let's see. The redstone is going to get a little on the odd side, I feel, here. We want it to remain depowered. I know what I want it to do. It needs to be depowered until I push the button, at which point this torch needs to invert. So, in order to do that, everything's going to have to swap position. So, let's see, how do we want to do that? Figured it would create the dead zone, that's why I've come up with a fix for that. Oop, pick that up. So, instead of having the button here, we're going to have the button up one more, and this is where we could have potential problems going on because of the water, obviously, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that situation. Let's just knock this out. Are we at the bottom yet? Yeah, okay. So we want our button there, and let's get our redstone torches out, and we'll put a redstone torch in there. Then a block, then a redstone torch, then a block, redstone torch. And we'll put down another block. And then inside that little pocket is going to be a redstone torch, and then a block, a redstone torch, and a block. It shouldn't flow around the edge, which is what I'm hoping. And then we want a block, redstone torch, block. Yep, that's fine. Pick that up. I'll put that back in there. And then that. There we go. Let's see what this does. Okay, so it powered it. We'll see if it powered all four. It did. And it distributes it down, and if we push it again, it stops, hopefully. Just have to see in a minute when the water comes down. And obviously I'm going to craft up the signs now. While we wait, let's craft up some signs. I think we're going to need maybe 6 signs for this. And the water is coming down. Excellent. So the collection system for this will be done. So we're just going to have to put some signs across here, and that's just to prevent the water flow from getting mixed up. Just like that. So that's that, and I guess I can put a sign underneath it now saying what it does. Harvest farm. There we go. Excellent. So we've got a ladder well back up. And then on our way up, we would go up and replant. So we'd stop off here, stand on there. We can replant all 4. And same on this layer. We've got a nice little area above that we can use to replant all the way up to the top. Excellent. So I'm impressed with that. We'll take a look at what it looks like from the outside, of course. Let's get out here. Very cool. I like the redstone behind the glass. I do like some redstone exposed. Gives it a very technical feeling. Yeah, I like that a lot. So now what we need to do is kind of figure out a design that we can use for the doorway here. And I've really not thought too much about this, honestly. So let's experiment here a little bit. Don't see any creepers around. Don't want them to blow up my my lovely farm here. That doesn't look too bad. I was thinking about inset iron doors, possibly, because we don't really have a lot of room to do anything piston-based. So maybe some inset iron doors might look pretty cool. I don't use these too often. Interesting. Do I have any stone buttons around? I have some smooth stone. Let's make a stone button. Let's see if can put it on there. I wouldn't want to use a pressure plate because mobs could walk in there then. Oh, whoops. I'm stuck in. There we go. So now let me think about how I want to get out here, though. Let's get another button. Because we can't really place a button anywhere. There is no real way of getting out. I guess I could use pressure plates to get out. That's definitely a viable option. We'll put a button on the other side, why not? Even things up. And pressure plates. I may make some iron ones. They might suit the floor better than a stone one. Yeah. Let's make some weighted pressure plates. And they won't interfere with any redstone, I don't think. Doesn't sound like it anyway. So, get out again. It's a bit on the tight side, though. But it's not terrible. Yeah, I can see that working. I might tweak that a little bit. I may add like an area where I've brought this forward somewhat. I'll probably figure it out off camera ready for the next episode. I may kind of bring this forward. And then I could do a piston-based design if I could compact it down enough. It depends. But I might bring this out forward a little bit and see where that takes me. And I'll probably let you know ready for the next episode. But all I need to do on the farm stack now is actually down here. Where are we? Down here is just hook this up to a dropper and push the chest up a block or two. And we'll be set at that point, and this farm will be usable. And probably next episode we might look at building either the other two, or more than likely we'll go do something else. I may time-lapse building the other two in a future episode. Pretty soon, of course, though, because I would like to get that out. But for now, let's plant us some carrots, and we'll call it an episode. So, let's climb up here. There we go. First carrots in the farm. Oh, yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, guys, and I hope to see you next time. So until then, see you later, and have a good day.